Say hello to Nationwide, a company that cares.
We say that we're more than a business because it's true. At Nationwide, we work together to create lasting change in our communities. What makes us different from other companies is our focused approach to lending a hand and supporting communities across America. Nationwide has been fighting hunger for nearly 40 years.
We give to United Way, and the Nationwide Foundation matches our contributions. Volunteering is a big deal for us. Our passion for giving is recognized with time off, grants to our favorite organizations, and a Volunteer of the Year award celebration.
The Nationwide Foundation is a founding member of the American Red Cross Annual Disaster Giving Program. We help our partners prepare to meet emergency and basic needs in times of crisis or disaster.
I'm proud to work for Nationwide. We opened the first on-site American Red Cross Blood Donor Center at our headquarters. Giving blood has been a tradition at Nationwide since 1944, and today we work with blood partners across the country.
One cause close to our hearts is Nationwide Children's Hospital. The hospital provides life-saving care to more than 1 million kids from around the world, regardless of their ability to pay.
Through the support of the Nationwide Foundation, we are transforming the way care is delivered not only in Columbus, but across the country and around the world. We have developed one of the largest and fastest growing research institutes in the country, and we are recruiting some of the best and brightest physicians who are developing new cures and treatments that are benefiting children everywhere.
Nationwide not only supports my volunteerism in the community, but encourages it.
We transform lives at critical moments because we're a company that cares.
Pledge to spark acts of kindness,
one at a time,
sprinkling compassion around the world.
I will practice hospitality,
making people feel welcome,
cared for, and appreciated.
I will treat others with courtesy,
politeness,
and respect.
I will do the little things,
because little things make a big difference.
I commit to putting my heart into action,
sharing a smile and a little bit of love,
and making someone's day a little bit brighter.
We, the diasporic seeds, straddle between divisible and unity, divinely are destined to be movers. We have always been moving, forward. From rocking the cradle to fertile soils ripe for empires, we have been shaped by powerful hands, forever clenching motherland and bosom. Our hearts are in this journey for justice and perpetual. We have the scar tissue to prove being a freedom fighter takes its toll. The rains and floods come, the winds pound, but the foundation's solid. It does not budge. It is ready for the moment, for every movement, making history amid crisis, keeping record of the present, holding constitutions accountable while we demand full fractions, serve as advocates of action. This is our voice, our vision of tranquility, our mission answering where do we go from here. We the diasporic seeds. We are done with chaos, done with planting and others reaping, done with dying. Our lives end when we become silent. So let's lift what matters, champion heavy weights like ants, incessantly on the march, providing what's needed to survive, alerting game-changing armies that it's time to work, to rebuild, reclaim, to get whole, restore, to trailblaze, to tirade, time to do what is right. It is our duty to use our power, pay it forward, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We the diasporic seeds of Generation Black, cultivators of community, defeaters of hate, hallmarks of hope, pioneers of promise, we have always been moving forward. From the underground quarters to dark towers, from Niagara principles to great debates, we walk head high, eyes straight, despite stony roads, weary feet, eyes on bold dreams, big victories. We finish the fight forward, because when we fight, we win. Committed that no pandemic formed against us shall prosper. It's in our DNA until our last breath. We the diasporic seeds stand for nothing less. We stand at one with the sun. Let the light penetrate our bones so that until freedom comes, we are fired up, ready to work, fired up, ready to give it all you got, fired up, ready to show them what it's all about, ready to move forward.
It just goes to show you how one voice can change a room. And if it can change a room, it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if it can change a state, it can change a nation. And if it can change a nation, it can change the world. So I just have one question. Are you fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Let's go finish what we started.
We the diasporic seeds stand for nothing less. We stand at one with the sun. Let the light penetrate our bones so that until freedom comes, we are fired up, ready to work, fired up, ready to give it all you got, fired up, ready to show them what it's all about, ready to move forward.
Good evening and welcome to the 2021 NAACP Freedom Fund Dinner and Community Awards Program. My name is Angela Johnson, member of the Maricopa County Branch Executive Committee, and I have the distinct honor of serving as the chairman for this year's event. In 1953, financially pressed by the heavy load of legal cases and other aspects of the civil rights battle, Dr. Channing H. Tobias, newly elected chairman of the NAACP Board of Directors, launched the Fight for Freedom Fund campaign at the annual convention in St. Louis, Missouri. The slogan was "Free by 63. The goal of the campaign was to eliminate all state-imposed racial discrimination by the centennial of Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. The convention unanimously adopted a resolution to raise $1 million annually to fund the fight for freedom. For 102 years, the Maricopa County Branch NAACP has served its community by advocating for economic empowerment, employment opportunities, affordable housing, criminal justice, and civic engagement benefits for all people. This year's theme is Mobilizing into the Future, Moving Forward, where we will take the opportunity to acknowledge community leaders who share in our goal of building a stronger democracy for the future of Maricopa County. Thank you to our executive board members, sponsors, special guests, community leaders, and patrons alike for your continued support of the Freedom Fund Dinner. Congratulations to the community awardees, and thank you for your service. Please enjoy your evening.
Hey everyone, let's bow in prayer together. Father, we want to thank you for your power, for your majesty, for who you are. Isaiah 40 talks about your greatness and your wonder. It says, who else holds the oceans in the hollow of their hand? And Father, it's a great reminder that you are mighty, you are powerful, you are sovereign. And so God, even in this moment, in the midst of what can seem like so much chaos in our country, and maybe even so much chaos in our lives, God, we are so thankful that you see every detail of our lives. You see every single thing that we are walking through and going through. You see and know exactly what's happening in our country and in our world today. And Lord, John 16, when Jesus sits before his disciples, he tells them that in this world they will have trouble, but to take heart, for you have overcome the world. So as we pray together, we are reminded and we are united by those words, that we will take heart together as a community of believers, because you and you alone, Father, you hold the oceans in the hollow of your hand, and you alone have sovereignty and power over a broken world. And you alone, as John 16 says, has overcome the world. So as a community of believers, Father, we will take hope, we will take faith, we will take heart in knowing that you are the King of kings and Lord of lords. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over away with the tears we've been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the sojourned out from a gloomy past till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Oh, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Karen Hardin, President of the Maricopa County Branch NAACP. I welcome you to our Freedom Fund Dinner 2021. Although we remain in the midst of a pandemic and this is our new normal, we are doing our program virtually to ensure the health and safety of our community. This new normal will not deter the Maricopa County Branch NAACP from moving forward. Although we are physically separated, we are unified in spirit and conviction. We are here to celebrate the legacy of the NAACP and to celebrate the contributions of our corporate sponsors and our community leaders as they help us actualize our purpose. Our purpose and our mission is fighting for equal rights for all people. That is our mission and our purpose. And we celebrate those people who are here with us tonight. Also, when we talk about the legacy of the NAACP, it is important to emphasize the fact that the Maricopa County Branch NAACP has been with us since 1919, over 102 years old. I would ask you to observe the unity and the diversity in our program tonight. I ask you to sit back, relax, open your minds and hearts, remember our mission of fighting for equality for all people, and be with us as we mobilize into the future and we move forward. Thank you for being with us.
Aloha Maricopa NAACP from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii. I am so pleased to commend you for your anniversary and the exceptional work that you have been doing over the past year on behalf of this great association. I am very, very proud of the direct impact that you have had on our community with voter education and registration and empowerment, not only at the local level, but also the great difference that you've made at the state level and how you have effected change across this nation. I am so proud also to represent you and bring you greetings from the National Board of Directors, where I'm humbled to serve on your behalf. Again, congratulations, and let's continue to do this great work of the association. Aloha.
I'm Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, and I'm excited to join you in welcoming the 2021 Freedom Fund Dinner. We celebrate the Maricopa County NAACP's 102-year history of serving this community. The dinner has evolved a lot over the last few years, but I'm glad that we can be together. I've appreciated the NAACP's partnership on programs ranging from our youth to criminal justice reform. But we have a lot more work to do, and we're going to start with some inspiration tonight. Thank you to all of those who are being recognized, as well as our amazing keynote congressman. Welcome to our community. We look forward to continued partnership, and I particularly want to thank Dr. Karen Hardin for your leadership and your passion for our young people. They have a brighter Phoenix future thanks to you. Have a wonderful dinner. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Camilla Westingberg, and I am the second vice president of the Maricopa County branch of the NAACP. I am honored to have the opportunity to introduce two of our esteemed special guests tonight. Our keynote speaker, Congressman Joe Neguse, joins us in discussion with Congressman Greg Stanton. We are immensely grateful to both of them for their presence this evening. Congressman Joe Neguse represents Colorado's 2nd District in the U.S. House of Representatives. He was elected to his first term in November 2018, becoming the first African-American member of Congress in Colorado history. He serves as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, the House Natural Resources Committee, and the House Select Committee on the Climate Crisis. Additionally, he serves as chair of the Subcommittee on National Parks, Forest, and Public Lands, and vice chair of the Subcommittee on Immigration and Citizenship. Before his election, Representative Neguse served in the Governor of Colorado's cabinet as the Executive Director of Colorado's Consumer Protective Agency. Also, Congressman Greg Stanton represents Arizona's 9th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Congressman Stanton is a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Judiciary Committee. He was the mayor of Phoenix from 2012 to 2018. Before his election as mayor, Congressman Greg Stanton served 9 years on the Phoenix City Council as Arizona's Deputy Attorney General. Congressman Neguse, Congressman Stanton, thank you again. And we look forward to your insights as we join you in mobilizing into the future, moving forward.
Good evening. It's my honor to welcome everyone to the Maricopa County NAACP Freedom Fund Dinner. I'm Congressman Greg Stanton, and I'm glad to be with all of you virtually for this great event. And I'm here with our very special guest, my friend, my colleague, Congressman Joe Neguse. Congressman Neguse and I served together on the Judiciary Committee, where we have tackled some of the most pressing issues facing our country over the past 2.5 years. And Congressman Neguse, of course, became well known when he took an important role serving as one of the key impeachment managers after the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Like myself, we came in together. He is serving his 2nd term in Congress, representing Colorado's 2nd District. He is the first African-American member of Congress in Colorado's history. And in addition to serving with me on the Judiciary Committee, he also serves on the Natural Resources Committee and the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis, which means he is very busy. And on a personal note, let me just say, Congressman Neguse is a star in the United States Congress. We elected him to serve as our leadership representative in the freshman class. So we worked very closely with Speaker Pelosi. And of course, because he's such a talented member of Congress, he was selected to the prestigious position of representing our caucus during the impeachment proceedings. So Congressman Neguse, thank you for joining me and all of our friends at the Maricopa County NAACP. And I figured instead of doing a speech format, we'd kind of make this fun and do more of a conversational format.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, of course, Representative Stanton, for hosting. And to the Maricopa County NAACP, I want to say thank you for all of your hard work. As I was reviewing the many accomplishments of your incredible organization, and just considering the 3 years that you all have been in existence, and the work you've done for the Black community in Maricopa County and across the state of Arizona, it's just, at the end of the day, I can't overstate just how important your work has been. And of course, I'm in particular very grateful to all of you in the room for sending such an incredible member of Congress to the United States House of Representatives, Representative Stanton, who's one of my closest friends in the United States Congress, as he mentioned. We serve together on the Judiciary Committee. We have a lot of fun, and we've done a lot of good work, and I'm very, very proud to be able to call him a colleague, but even more proud to call him my friend. And I'm so grateful to the state of Arizona for sending him, as well as some other very talented people like Senator Mark Kelly in the United States Senate, as we work on the issues that the American people, the people of the great state of Arizona, our neighbor to the south from Colorado, care so much about. So glad to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you for those kind words. I'm voting for your bills from now on for sure. Congressman, great to see you. Okay, before we talk about some of the key issues that you are working on, that you are leading on, you've got a pretty incredible personal story. I mean, you're like the great American success story of coming from an immigrant family to achieve all you've achieved. So tell the folks about yourself and your immigrant story.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Colorado. I've been living in Colorado since I was 5 years old, but my story, my journey, is an immigrant's journey, like so many folks in our country and so many people in the state of Arizona. My parents came to America from East Africa, a small country called Eritrea, during a civil war, came to the United States as refugees, Bakersfield, California is where they first settled, where I was born actually before we moved to Colorado. And because of the incredible freedoms, the opportunities that we have in the United States of America, they were able to make it and live the American dream, and to see their son, one generation removed, now serve in the United States House of Representatives. So it's an honor, it's a privilege. I'm grateful to them for their sacrifice, their hard work, and grateful for the opportunity to, like you, Greg, now have an opportunity to pay it forward and to try to do what we can to ensure that every American has that same opportunity to be able to live their dreams. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed, and very grateful for the opportunities that I've had.
That's awesome, incredible personal journey, and I love it. That's a great American success story and one that can inspire many people. All right, now, when Dr. Hardin, the leader of the Maricopa County NAACP, asked me to find the best member of Congress to speak at this dinner, I immediately thought of you. When I mentioned your name, she got very excited because she watched, as so many people did, the impeachment proceedings. And we knew you inside the caucus as a super talented person, but I think the rest of America got to see you in action, and you were one of the most impressive leaders of the impeachment team as a result of the tragic events that occurred here at the Capitol on January 6th. So just give a sense to the people watching, about that experience and experience as an impeachment manager, and why you think you did so well during that process.
Well, I don't know about all that. I'll let other people be the judge, but I'd say a couple things. First, I've heard a lot of great things about Dr. Hardin and the work that Maricopa County NAACP has done. So I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to grace the virtual stage, if you will, with my friend Representative Stanton. And I can't say enough good things. I hope we'll have a chance to talk about the work that you all do back in Maricopa County, the great programs, the Back to School, Stay in School program, and so many more like it that are having a real impact on the people of your community. Look, as Greg knows, we both are attorneys, so we both practiced law before we came to Congress, and so when folks ask me to describe my experience as an impeachment manager, I tell them that it's the first time I've felt like a lawyer in a couple of years, certainly since I've had the opportunity to serve in the United States Congress, because I prepared for the trial in the same way that I prepared for cases back when I was practicing law. A lot of late nights, spending my evenings writing and rewriting the rewrite on the scripts, the arguments that we'd present, trying to think strategically about the presentation of the evidence. I think one takeaway for me personally, as I've thought about it and reflected on it, it feels like it was years ago, but it was only a few months ago, is I think the case was very visceral because these events were very visceral for us. We were all there on January 6th. I was on the House floor and evacuated with a number of my colleagues. And so from our vantage point, we lived it, and we felt a real commitment, a duty, an obligation to present this case in the most compelling way that we could, because we were very hopeful that we could ultimately secure a conviction. Of course, as we all know, we were unable to ultimately secure a conviction, notwithstanding both of Arizona's senators choosing country over party and doing the right thing and voting to convict. But I do think that in the court of public opinion, and as far as the history books are concerned, I think folks will recount that trial as an important moment in American history where folks of good conscience stood up and defended the Constitution, vindicated the Constitution at a moment when our republic was really at grave risk. And of course, it's not the first time that has happened. It happened a year and a half ago during the first impeachment, which Greg knows all too well because he was a leader in really articulating the legal arguments on the Judiciary Committee when we both were participating in that process almost 2 years ago now. So it was a momentous, solemn trial. I wish I didn't have to take part in it because, of course, I wish the events of January 6th had never happened. But I do think it was a wake-up call for all of us in our country that our republic is fragile and we've got to do everything we can to preserve it. And that includes the struggle ahead on voting rights and civil rights and so many other important causes that are really, that Greg and I both care a great deal about.
Well, that's great. And I really admired your work during that time because, number one, you come as prepared as anyone. You do your homework, you know the details, but you're able to hit those high notes. When it's time to give a passionate speech and hit an emotional high note, you're able to do it. And that's a skill that not a lot of people have. You got to know your stuff. but you got to make people feel it on a human level, and I think you really nailed it during that impeachment proceeding. So congratulations. And for Arizona, it's personal because, as you know, on the House floor, when we were all evacuated from that House floor, Arizona was the state that was being debated, and whether or not the people who are participating in the Freedom Front Dinner, whether their votes would be counted as part of the presidential election. So you defended us and defended us well. So we owe you a huge debt of gratitude.
You say that, and actually, I'm just thinking back now, remembering. And I don't know if the folks at home know this, but Representative Stanton was speaking on the floor, literally, as the speaker, Speaker Pelosi, was escorted from the dais and left the room. And I remember actually you were getting in a back and forth with your colleague from Arizona, who shall not be named.
I had to correct Paul Gosar's
exactly.
record. I had to correct the record.
That's right. Representative Gosar was talking, and that's really when it all, at least for us in the House chamber, when we realized that something had gone terribly wrong outside, and that there was a real danger to the Capitol complex. And so you're right. I mean, it was very visceral, but so much of trial work, as Representative Stanton knows from his many years as an assistant attorney general and his career, is about telling a story and doing what you can to tell a story that will resonate with the audience that you're telling it to. And in that trial, we had really two audiences: the jury, which was the United States Senate, that really functions as a jury in that setting, and the American people. Yeah. And I think ultimately that's the story that we did tell resonated, and the best arbiter or maybe marker of that is the fact that it was the most bipartisan vote of presidential impeachments in the history of our country, and so that I think speaks to the importance of it. So,
all right, let's talk about some of the other work that you are doing on the Judiciary Committee, because sadly we see across America the work that the Maricopa County NAACP does on civil rights and voting rights is under attack in state legislatures around the country. I can't believe that we are looking to go backwards on civil rights, go backwards on voting rights. Our country, we've made a lot of mistakes over the years, but generally we have moved forward in a better direction, and it seems like we're moving backwards. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that, the work that is being done on the Judiciary Committee, protecting voting rights and civil rights, and what you're seeing across the country in terms of why are we going backwards right now in America?
Yeah, a couple things I would say. Notwithstanding, and I think you're totally right, Greg, that we are definitely going backwards on so many important issues. But in Congress, we're going the other way. I mean, we're moving forward, and that's not by accident. That is, it doesn't happen by accident. It's by design. And in particular, on the Judiciary Committee, we have a great group of members, including Representative Stanton, who are helping shape the agenda of the committee. And one of the reasons we've been able to make the progress we have on voting rights, for example, is because we have people like Greg, who are championing those efforts and working to convince the chairman to make sure that we mark up those bills. Now, look, what we're seeing in states like Georgia, and of course, Colorado has a connection to this because we have arguably, I don't think it's arguably, but I'm including that modifier just in case Arizona wants to step in with some state pride, the best election system in the United States of America. It's the gold standard. And that's why, ultimately, the Major League Baseball Association decided to move their All-Star game from Georgia to Denver. I'm hoping maybe some of you in Maricopa County will make the drive up to come watch the All-Star game in July. But I say that only because many of us warned that we would see what has happened in states like Georgia and other states 9 years ago after the Shelby versus Holder decision, right? We knew the writing was on the wall, and the NAACP was perhaps one of the most sage voices on this issue, that if the Supreme Court struck down the preclearance provisions of the Voting Rights Act, as it did, provisions that the NAACP and other organizations had fought for, had struggled for, had bled for decades, that we would see states engage in voter suppression efforts and slowly but surely undermine the right to vote in various different states, and in particular those states where preclearance used to be applicable. And that's now happened. It happened in Georgia, it's happening in other states, and we have to be vigilant as a Congress to say that it's not going to happen on our watch. And that's why H.R. 1 is so important. It's why the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is so important. The Voter Empowerment Act that Whip Clyburn has been pushing for, and the Congressional Black Caucus has been very engaged on. We've got to make sure that these bills make it across the finish line, because at the end of the day, they go to the cornerstone, bedrock principles of our constitutional republic, which is the right to vote, the ability for those who are legally eligible to vote to do so. So a lot of more work for us to do. Again, we're lucky to have champions like Greg who are, who get it, who've been fighting for it their whole careers, and who are making it a priority here in Washington, but there's still a lot more for us to do.
Yeah. Right now, as we are recording this and people are watching this, in the Arizona legislature, we have some of the worst voter suppression laws still working its way through this system. And so we're doing our work in terms of passing H.R. 1, which is the best reform of the American democratic system to increase voter participation, creating election day as a national holiday, automatic voter registration and same-day voter registration, and getting dark money out of federal elections. But the John Lewis bill, just reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act and getting back to the sense that if you're going to try to pass a law that makes it harder for people to vote, particularly communities of color, that's not going to stand. In the United States of America, that ain't going to stand.
That's right. No, I mean, I think about Maricopa County NAACP in 1912. Or in 1922, or in 1932, or in 1942, or in 1952. What our predecessors, those generations, were thinking about and working on, fundamentally, it was voting rights. And the fact that in 2021, we now have to redouble our efforts and re-enlist Maricopa County NAACP and other important civil rights organizations across the country in this struggle, because voting rights are really on the line, on the chopping block. Obviously, it's a travesty, but we can't lose a step. We got to keep pushing and got to move forward on it. So, no, the stakes could not be higher with respect to this particular issue.
Could not be higher. We cannot go backwards on civil rights in America. We cannot go backwards on voting rights. Other things we're working on: the Equality Act to provide civil rights to our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. Paycheck fairness and equal pay for equal work to make sure that women have the support they need when they're out in the workplace. That's an important civil rights issue as well. And then justice in policing. That is not an easy issue, but it's such an important issue. And you were among the leaders on the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, which did pass out of our committee and the Congress. Talk a little bit about justice in policing.
Yeah, and of course we all, just this week, many of us I know were outraged by the events in Minnesota as we learned of the death of a young African American man in Brooklyn Park, as we also watched the trial of the officer in the George Floyd case. I think the George Floyd Justice in Policing bill is a comprehensive, forward-looking bill that includes a number of reforms that are really common sense and that will ensure that struggle for justice and equality for each and every American in our country is achieved. And I'm hopeful that the Senate will take it up. Obviously, we passed it out of our committee in the House, in the Judiciary Committee, and then ultimately out of the full House to the floor. We'll see what the Senate does with it, but it's another issue where clearly the stakes are very high, and we can't afford to wait any longer to see real reforms coming out of the United States Congress. Now, thankfully, states are taking steps. I'm not sure what Arizona has necessarily done, but in Colorado recently, the state legislature, last year actually, approved a bill that includes many of the reforms that were in the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. And by the way, this bill passed on a bipartisan basis in Colorado, significant bipartisan Republican and Democratic support. So these are not necessarily partisan issues. I think there's an opportunity to build some consensus around some of these policy solutions. But we're just going to have to keep on working on it. I mean, clearly it's a critical issue for our community moving forward.
Yeah, it bans chokeholds, bans no-knock warrants. It
Correct.
keeps better track of officers that have engaged in inappropriate activities, so that way they can't move from department to department. So these are all common sense improvements, and we can't let other people define it as saying that this is anti-police. Just the opposite. Reforming and improving an institution of policing makes everyone safer, including the police officers themselves. It makes the community safer, the people they interact with, and it makes the police officers themselves safer. Anytime you can build up that trust, and so I am with you 100% that this is the right direction for us to go as a country, is to really create standards standards for policing across this country to make everyone have more confidence in that institution.
That's right. Yeah, and in some respects, it's modernization, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, totally.
All right, another issue, and we're running short on time because we've got great awards that are be given out here tonight by the NAACP, but the pandemic.
Yes.
And the process of giving out the vaccines. Unfortunately, we see that there are major issues of vaccine equity, making sure that all communities, particularly communities of color, receive this vaccine because we want to keep everyone safe. We are all in this together. We can't get through this pandemic unless we get the vaccines out there to as many people as possible. So I want to get your thoughts about the issue of vaccine equity and more we can be doing in our country.
Yeah, what a great question, and couldn't be more timely. I serve on the Congressional Black Caucus Executive Board, and just 2 days ago, here in Washington, we met with President Biden and Vice President Harris in the Oval Office to talk about Congressional Black Caucus priorities, priorities that I know Maricopa County NAACP shares. And one of those priorities was addressing the structural health disparities that exist and that in some respects have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, because we know the pandemic disproportionately impacted Black folks across our country and communities of color more broadly. And now we see that the same can be said for vaccine distribution and access. And the Vice President, I know, cares about this very deeply. And we had an opportunity to exchange ideas on this front. The Congressional Black Caucus is going to be doing a series of vaccine-related events over the course of the next several weeks, and so please stay tuned. You can sign up online, the Congressional Black Caucus's website, for alerts, but a nationwide vaccination day for the Black community to try to both raise awareness about the vaccine, but also to redouble our efforts to assist folks in the Black community with accessing the vaccine. Because we know in the same way that there were testing gaps for the Black community early on in the pandemic, that those gaps now have remained and been calcified as far as vaccine distribution is concerned. Now, the good news is that there's more that we can do. And the American Rescue Plan, which we passed into law thanks to Representative Stanton's leadership, signed by President Biden just a few weeks ago, includes a scale-up of distributions of vaccines into harder-to-reach communities, into our urban areas as well as rural areas, and really investing in community health care clinics, which we know predominantly serve communities of color and have been largely responsible for most vaccinations, majority of the vaccinations of Black communities and communities of color in the United States. So it's a funding issue, it's an access issue, and it's an awareness issue. And we've got to make sure that all three of those pillars are covered, and we're going to continue to do that work. And I think every one of you watching has an opportunity. You know, Greg and I have both been vaccinated. You all have an opportunity to help, one, spread the word for folks to get vaccinated so that we can crush this pandemic for good, and two, to help folks identify opportunities in the Maricopa County area and in the broader region for folks to be able to get and obtain the vaccine to the extent that they're willing to do so.
All right, I actually have one more. This is the real reason Dr. Hardin was so excited about you speaking to the NAACP Maricopa County, and that is you are so talented and you're young, and you connect with younger people very well. And I think so there are people watching this. I know Maricopa County NAACP has their Next Gen program and other programs to try to develop that next generation of leaders, the next Joe Negusas, if you will. What advice do you have about to young people that are watching that maybe want to get more involved in public policy, maybe even want to run for public life, public office themselves?
You know, my advice, and to some extent I think this could apply to everyone across the spectrum, whether you're young or old, or in regards to your particular political affiliation. As I was reviewing, as I mentioned, the work of the Maricopa County NAACP, the one program that stuck out to me that I mentioned early on was this Back to School, Stay in School program. Because for me, it's reflective of a commitment by the Maricopa County NAACP and its members to be hopeful about the future and to give hope to young folks that they can ultimately achieve anything, right, if they work hard enough, if they put their mind to it. And that's why they should, you know, as they're going back to school, that they should stay in school. And so to folks who are interested in perhaps serving in public office or in public life or serving their community in whatever capacity, I would say the most important thing you can do is to stay hopeful about the future and about our ability and capacity to improve conditions for not just the Black community, but ultimately for all Americans. I firmly believe that that's the case, and I think in this day and age, it's so easy to fall victim to the temptation towards cynicism and to become jaded about our politics, the hyperpolarization, the vitriolic nature of it. I mean, it's enough to just say, you know what, I'm turning off the news. I don't want to hear anymore. And I think we have to fight that temptation. We have to stay hopeful about our ability to do big things because we've done them before, right? And we can do them again. So that would be my advice.
All right, you can see why he's a star within our caucus. Congressman Goose, thank you so much for your time. He's going places, so keep track of this guy. But thank you for being so generous with your time and supporting one of the great pillars of our community. Been around for 102 or 3 years. Right. Phoenix, as Maricopa County, is a young community. This is one of the long-standing pillars of our community, this organization. Thank you for giving the time to speak to the people. And thank you, Dr. Harden and team. Go get them.
Good evening. My name is Michael Kelly, and I'm pleased to introduce you to the 2021 Freedom Fund Dinner and Community Awards honorees. Each of these individuals and organizations exemplifies the purpose, mission, and values of the NAACP Maricopa County Branch. This year's civic engagement champions are the Racial Justice Task Force of Congregation Makor Chaim and the Connection Committee of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Delta Beta Omega Chapter. This award recognizes a person or group that is dedicated to the advancement of equality and human rights of all individuals with a focus on local, state, regional, and national policies and legislation in both public and private business sectors. Our Community Health Advocate Award winner is Dr. Edmund L. Baker, Jr. This award recognizes an individual or organization that promotes and enhances the health of our communities with a special emphasis on the underserved, underrepresented, and uninsured Black and Brown individuals. The Next Gen Civil Rights Trailblazer Award goes to Mr. Jacob Rocky Tirade Rayford. This award honors an individual whose impact is evident throughout the community and has opened doors for others to follow in areas of education, business, politics, faith, law, and other professional endeavors. They are known for their service and dedication to the principles of equality, fairness, inclusion, and social justice. And in this case, Mr. Rayford is a next-gen leader because he is doing it at a young, trailblazing age. Our 2021 Community Pioneer Award honoree needs very little introduction. He is Dr. Gene Blue. This award recognizes an individual who has been an advocate for change, represented the community at the highest level, and has a long-standing history of service to Maricopa County and the state of Arizona. This honor is reserved for one whose deeds are synonymous with attributes like excellence, dedication, innovation, courage, and integrity. And our final award of the evening is the Corporate Support Award. And this year's honoree is Fry's Food Stores. This award is given to a corporate partner that has taken an interest in the success and well-being of the community in which it serves, not just focusing on its business outcomes, but committed to equality for all. These corporations are also supporters of the NAACP and have demonstrated their commitment through giving of not only their time, but financial resources. Please enjoy these video presentations of each awardee.
The bigger our voice, the greater the outreach. So we are a synagogue. We are a Reform synagogue. What it means to be a Reform synagogue is that you are very contemporary and current in your thinking. So we certainly hold fast to our values and our ethics and to Judaism. And yet we have a broader range from which to operate. In addition, we have a very strong component called Tikkun Olam, which is to heal the world. And we do that by contributing to organizations. We give to the food bank, and every month there's another project, and we bring food, and we go to Casa Alitas, which deals with migrants as they're moving through Tucson. We're not in Phoenix, we're in Tucson. We're on the border. We're on the border of disenfranchisement. When George Floyd was so brutally murdered, I have the chills saying it. It was unfathomable. We are a people, as most religious people are, that believe that God breathed life into us. And here was a child of God who had his breath taken from him. We set up 3 pillars: education, advocacy, and action. And the first thing we did was we jumped in to learn. There was so much that wasn't in the history books, so much we weren't aware of the disenfranchisement and everything that goes on with voting, education, all of it. It's not the churches only, or the synagogues only, or the mosques only. All of us together, walking together. And it works. It works. One of my biggest hopes is that we reclaim our schools, that we are going to be committed to giving the best education to every child in this country. What an honor to even be considered that any of your efforts make any difference in the civic life of this country. Yeah, we are humbled, we are honored, we are grateful, and we're very motivated.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has a long-standing history of political and social action, driving us to address societal concerns regarding social, political, and the economic status of African Americans. My name is Shawn Gear, and I am pleased to serve as president of the Delta Beta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated here in Phoenix, Arizona. Our Connection Committee was established organization-wide in 1980 to address the impact of public policy on African Americans, helping bridge the gap between our organization, the community, as well as issues related to public policy and social justice. Last year, our Connection Committee partnered with the Maricopa County Branch NAACP Political Action Committee in several ways. It ranged from supporting the 2020 census campaign to engaging in its nonpartisan Countdown to 2020 initiative, a voter registration and mobilization campaign. The focus was on those individuals between the ages of 18 and 30 who were unregistered and resided in a weak performance legislative district. The Delta Beta Omega Connection Committee is pleased to be honored by the Maricopa County Branch NAACP as a civic engagement champion. Thank you to the branch for your partnership in your ongoing work in the greater Phoenix area.
My goal now is to create a legacy, to have a foundation which lives on far beyond my years here on earth. I initially wanted to be a doctor back when I was a kid, but didn't have anybody to look up to. I didn't have any doctors in my family, didn't know any doctors. We grew up pretty lower middle class, and my, most people that grew up like me were working towards the automotive plant. I knew SARS-CoV-2, which causes the disease, COVID-19. I knew very well that it would impact the African Americans in such a negative way, because when the reports were coming out of China, it was noted that older people, people with multiple medical diseases, would be affected more than a general population. And African Americans have a higher rate of those chronic illnesses. And plus, the number one public health problem being poverty, I know we as a collective fall in that category more often than not. So I got a call from our PR group and said, Channel 15, ABC 15 wanted to come in and talk to you. So they came in the clinic, and literally for about 5 minutes, we talked about it. On the way out the door, she says to me, we need to do a call-in question and answer series live on TV. And I go, oh my God, I'm not ready for that. But she goes, your face, and you're the face of the population. People will listen to you. Come and do it. And I just did not want to do this, but I figured I had to. I went and did it, and the rest was history, because after that I kept getting calls to help educate, to help get the word out. I was an activist back in college, but I was more like a rebel without a cause back then. I was rebelling and not know why I was rebelling. I was young. As I got older, I held some of the same beliefs, and I then became a physician, and I said, well, they sort of don't intersect. I mean, here I am, I need to take care of people, and I was doing more of that. And then when COVID hit, I realized the intersection was easily seen, and I started to then speak up about the disparity of COVID. We still need to be having these discussions, and I need to sort of plant the seed so that when we start to return to more talks about other things, it could be sort of already planted that we need to talk about how do we level the playing field? How do we bring it from equality over to equity? I just would never imagine that a group of people I respect so much would ever see anything that I've ever done. So it really means a lot to me. I feel that now my mission is really clear to me, and I know what I need to be doing.
We're really here for our people. We're here for the community. We're here for change. I'm a musician at the end of the day. Came from the music field, lyricism, hip hop, and this sort of subject matter has always been something that, it's just shown through my music. I guess I felt compelled to speak about what I'd seen. George Floyd, Deion Johnson here in Phoenix, and what followed that was a justified response, demonstrations and things of that nature. And knowing that this was going to take place in a new generation, having been familiar with the circumstances of, protesting, the inherent dangers, with police tear gassing, using excessive force, kettling, and various things that's used at the expense of, a justifiably upset but nonviolent community. I had decided to step out and be of assistance. What we decided to do was use that as time to educate individuals on, their political identity, voting for the least represented individual, with white Americans, teaching them about white privilege, the nuances of that. It's crazy to say that, we're some of the people who were helping move the needle. I think back to the first week of June, like the very first week of protests, because the first day was on May 26th, I believe. The first week was that following week. So looking at a group of maybe 8,000-9,000 individuals and automatically understanding, like immediately understanding that these people have the ability to change their immediate environment, to make an impact in history that would create momentum, a snowball that can't be stopped, that will turn into an avalanche of unseating this is the power of systemic prejudice. There's a saying that we'd say that there's no unity without the community. And if there's one thing that we picked up that we can take home from these past, 11 now months of like real engaged, fully thought out, like demonstrations and direct action, is that we have the power to do this by ourselves as a unified community. My standpoint is I believe in incremental change, and the hardship that they endured is very severe, and it's not, and what we experience is severe in its own right. It's somewhat better because of the steps that they took. And the promise that we give to these demonstrations, these demonstrators, is that their children's push is going to be far less severe than what ours is. And we have those who came before us to thank for that. So really, we're going to respectfully take that torch and continue to make our call as bright as possible. And when it's time to pass it on, those who come after us will do the same. All I could say is that if I'm being highlighted, that says a lot about the community that I come from. You show up because you feel called, and things evolve as they may.
I'm honored, but really, and don't feel that I deserve to be categorized as a pioneer or a leader. All I did was God's work. I'm just a servant, and I try to be a good servant that's doing God's work. It is not something that I place a great deal of credit on. I certainly recognize and appreciate the fact that working with Dr. Stewart, with Calvin, and with other individuals in Phoenix, when we took on the battle of Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, when we had to go in the street, when we met with Evan Meekum, when we met with other folks that were reluctant, more than reluctant, they didn't want to do it at all, on the MLK holiday, that was a moment for me, a moment of decision, one of we must. OIC is about in helping and encouraging individuals to be their best, to not take no for an answer. Well, OIC is here because of the NAACP. We are an outgrowth. Our founder, Dr. Sullivan, made that very clear to us that NAACP is, that's the oldest organization. That's the one that's been on the firing line. And we are carrying on the struggle. Here we are in 2021, still fighting, still pushing, still trying to make folks understand that we are here. I don't really wish that folks or hope that folks will talk about me. I hope and I pray that individuals will talk about how we as a people made it, how we faced the adversity of today and yesterday and made it, how we faced racism, how we faced the kind of Jim Crow activity that's trying to be renewed now and made it. Not me. My part, thank the Lord I was here just to see it and just to give whatever I could to individuals and help them make it.
Hi, I'm Monica Garnes, president of Fry's Food Stores. We are a proud corporate sponsor of the NAACP and all its work in the community. Each day, our 21,000 associates come to work with one purpose in mind: to feed the human spirit. We care deeply about the places our customers and associates call home and are proud of our strong community partnerships. We continuously build relationships with a wide range of organizations to intentionally develop a workforce that reflects the communities we serve. These partnerships include various chambers, diversity groups, veterans, LGBTQ, youth and foster care organizations, as well as local community colleges and universities. By developing a diverse, empowering, and supportive environment, associates join a workplace where they can truly be themselves. This aligns with our company's values of diversity, inclusion, safety, respect, honesty, and integrity that we live by every day. Feeding people is what we do, not only in our stores, but across the state as well. In 2018, our parent company, Kroger, launched Zero Hunger, Zero Waste with the commitment to end hunger in the communities we call home and eliminate waste across the company by 2025. Over the past 3 years, we've donated more than 33 million meals under this plan. As part of this effort, food in our stores that cannot be sold is donated to local food banks who then distribute it to Arizona families. We also provide funding to a variety of programs dedicated to fighting hunger. On the zero waste side, we've diverted 8.6 million pounds of food waste to livestock feeding programs instead of landfills last year. We also recycled nearly 88 million pounds of cardboard and plastics. We are proud of these accomplishments. However, we cannot achieve them alone. It's the commitment and passion of our associates and all of our community partners that truly makes Arizona a great place to live and work. Thank you very much for the recognition today. We are deeply appreciative of the work that the NAACP does in the community to fight for and address civil rights issues in Maricopa County, and we are honored to stand with you in fulfilling the promise of equal rights for all people. We care deeply about the places our customers and associates call home and are proud of our strong community partnership. It's truly humbling to be honored for something we love to do. Thank you for allowing Fry's to serve you.
Congratulations again to all the awardees. In this new normal, tied to physical distancing, it is apparent that our award recipients have not missed a beat regarding service and are continuing to engage and impact the greater Phoenix area. Let's give a rousing round of applause to these spectacular honorees who are exemplary in their areas of community engagement and remain dedicated to mobilizing into the future, moving forward.
What a great program. Thank you to all of our participants. Thank you to our members for being here with us. Thank you to our corporate sponsors. Because of our corporate sponsors, that's what makes it possible for us to help and serve in the community. Please look at our website and acknowledge and learn about the companies that support us and the organizations that we align with that join us in making things a better place for everyone here in the county. Congratulations again to our awardees. You make this community a better place. Tonight we've been inspired by legislators, trailblazers, pioneers, and we've been inspired by everyone on the program. But we also have to acknowledge that it is urgent and it is critical that each one of us stands up to help restore democracy in this county, this state, and across the country. If you'd like to join with us, our latest new initiative is Protect the Vote. never going to give it up. We believe all votes should be counted. All votes should be counted. Everyone should have equal access to be able to cast their ballot. We believe it should not be a crime to be kind and offer someone a bottle of water if they are standing in line to cast their ballot to vote. I ask you to join us in making this a better place for all citizens. Thank you for joining us tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evening. We are moving forward. Good night.
Good evening. I'm so glad that you've come to the Maricopa County Branch NAACP's virtual annual Freedom Fund Dinner and Community Awards program. My name is Rabbi Mari Chernow, and I'm speaking to you from Temple Chai. I'm recording this benediction in advance, and I want to tell you that because I want you to know that I'm recording it on April 20th, a day that is now historic and welcome and much awaited in our society and our country. Today, the courts declared former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. I know that that conviction will not bring George Floyd back. It will not return him to the arms of his family and his friends and his loved ones. But it is my deepest prayer on this day that it is a step toward the just, kind, compassionate, loving, fair, and equal society we all dream of and wish for and fight for. Today you're here for the sake of mobilizing into the future and moving forward. We, the Jewish people, join you in that mission. We ask that the Holy One of Blessing bless all of you in your sacred and beautiful work. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for the honor of being with you tonight.
Freedom from our brothers, freedom 'cause they judge us.